Welcome back to Boerne Radio Home and Ranch Show. I'm James Duerr, your Texas realtor selling luxury homes and Texas ranches all over Texas, all over the hill country, and especially here in Boerne, Texas.
The Boerne Radio Home and Ranch Show is sponsored by Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Whether buying a home or selling one, our network agents are good to know. The Bevy Hotel. Make yourself at home. Platinum Wealth Solutions, effective strategies for your ideal tomorrow. Pilgrim Mortgage, helping you find the perfect home. And by Brand Builders Digital Media Agency, social media marketing to grow your business.
Today, we're at the Bevy Hotel. It's elegant, it's beautiful, it's a great location. If you haven't been to the Bevy, then be here, but we feel the pain just like everybody else has here with this snow we've had and this freezing weather. And we've had some problems at the office in terms of pipes busting. So we are filming today from the Bevy Hotel in Boerne, Texas. Travis, welcome to the Boerne Radio Home and Ranch Show.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit. I know you're from this area. Tell us a little about the history of you growing up here.
Sure. I grew up here. My father was a home builder my entire life, and before I was able to remember, he had the foresight to move our family to Boerne. And at the time, it's nothing like what we see now.
Right.
Custom building really hadn't even taken off in this area. But yeah, we moved here and lived off Ranger Creek Road for a couple of years, and then moved closer to Berkshire, which is where I grew up, and what I claim as a home is Berkshire.
And what is it like growing up? What was it like growing up in Berkshire?
My days are spent outside as much as possible, sun up to sundown, whenever my school schedule would allow. And it was at the time I didn't know what I had, but it was very, very ideal way to grow up.
So. And I imagine that's what you want the experience for your kids.
Absolutely, yes. And I live about 2 miles from where I grew up now.
Oh, there you go. That's wonderful.
Very close to the Guadalupe River. So.
Did you just go fishing there?
We'd go fishing. That was a pretty routine thing to go fishing.
Right.
And we had a spring-fed creek not too far from our house as well. We had some options. If you get tired of the river, you can go to the creek. Oh, man. So it was definitely a great way to grow up, and it's been, well preserved even now. Yeah, so.
And that's the great thing about the Boerne area is we have the development, we have the amenities, but also you don't have to go very far. When I came into the Bevy Hotel today, there's a herd of deer right across the street here. I mean, it's amazing. It's so beautiful, and there's a little creek that comes right by here also. So why did you become a home builder?
My father being a home builder, a lot of little boys want to be like their dad, and I guess a lot of them grow out of that. I never did. I really enjoyed being on the job sites with them, and the creation aspect of it, of creating something from a raw piece of land.
Yeah. So just one day you decided to be a builder, or how young were you when you started, working with your dad?
I was probably about 6 when I started going on job sites with him.
Wow.
So it was definitely a well-developed dream to be to the point where I could build things. And, I was always pulling scraps of lumber off the job and trying to tuck them in his truck to take them back to the house.
To build your own things, right?
That's with something on them, yeah.
Oh, imagine you built your own forts and everything else when you were a kid.
Tried to, yeah.
Yeah. I remember forts I built. And
I've improved since then.
Yeah. So Travis White Custom Builders, what geographical area do you build in?
I'll build anywhere within about a 60-minute drive of the Boerne area. So I try to stay within that range. Going out beyond that, although it may be tempting at times, I find I'm just not able to give as much attention to the jobs as I'd like.
And the reason we wanted you on Boerne Radio is when we talked to you before, you have this passion. And you said before you were working doing, I think carpentry or something in the beginning, and you noticed that, maybe the builders didn't have the passion that you really thought belonged in custom building. And that was the reason you got into custom building.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've never seen it so much as a business, although there's a big business side of it. But I've seen it more as a vision and a creation aspect of being able to create these custom homes. And they're, the reason they look so beautiful in the end is because of all the skilled work of all the people that do that and enjoy their work. Right. They're not just doing it to provide a living; they're doing it to fulfill something that's
And the main thing is
meaningful.
you've vetted all these people. You've lived in this area. You've vetted all these subcontractors for years, and that's why your homes are so beautiful, because you're not bringing in people from all over. You're using local contractors.
Yes, they're all very local, and a majority of them live in Boerne. We have a few from the outlying neighboring areas. But
if I want to build, or if anybody else wants to build out there listening to us on Boerne Radio, how do they contact you?
you can find my website pretty easy. It's my name, TravisSWhite.com.
Mm-hmm.
2 S's in there.
Okay.
And then from there, we need to have a initial meeting. I really try and listen a lot in that meeting and see what the client's vision is for their home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first start. So.
Okay. And we were talking earlier about this weather, and my pump at the ranch just cracked in half. I mean,
Your booster pump?
It just completely cut in half with the ice. So what do you design in your houses for extreme heat and for extreme cold?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the climate zone we're in, we deal with a lot of extreme heat. We expect that.
Mm-hmm.
We plan for it, and there's no excuse not to plan for it. So one of the most important ways that we design a house for those conditions is air tightness.
Okay.
And that's probably secondary to only to water tightness. We don't want our houses to leak, but secondary only to that is air tightness in importance.
And you were talking, when you build intentionally.
Yes.
And scientifically, you build with that in mind from the very beginning when you're visiting with your clients.
Yes. At a minimum, that we're going to build it in such a way that it's going to be efficient.
And what about the cold? Now that we all experience this drastic cold weather.
Well, that's something I think myself and we all have to be honest about is we weren't prepared for that, and I wasn't prepared for that as a builder. Confession, I recently moved into my own home late last year, and I still don't have a well house. And I was out there, fighting the cold every 2 hours, trying to keep things running, and I was able to, but wasn't prepared. It's something something I need to do better as a builder is build to these conditions that we can't experience again.
Yeah. And I'm a realtor, and in our office we had tremendous damage from water, and we should know better too. And there's some things you can't control. There's some things when they have rolling blackouts you can't control that.
Sure.
But it's good to we have that knowledge now, and you're able to incorporate that into your houses. So it's important. Do you build like 100 houses at a time, or what type of builder are you?
I'm more of a low volume. I call myself a boutique builder.
Okay.
So, right now I have 3 projects going, and my max is 5. I won't have any more than 5 going.
Okay.
So I really want to be able to focus in on each individual home and give the clients what they want.
And that's critical, because we were visiting earlier about that. Not only do you have the big picture of what the end result is, but you get involved in the different trades and make sure your trades are on task and doing the correct job.
Yes, sir. I'm very involved in the day-to-day management and operations of the job site itself.
What about the being intentional by air quality? How do you address air quality?
Well, first is air tightness, and that's really, you get one shot at that. It's when you build. That's not something you can really go back and improve later on.
Okay.
You can always change out the granite in the kitchen, and people are probably going to do that in 15, 20 years. But with air tightness, we need to build that way from day one. So that's my, if you will, the air tightness package is standard. And there's kind of the sky's the limit to what extent you want to take it with the air tightness.
Right. And you're addressing windows, insulation.
Yes. We're looking at the holistic thing. It's not just one thing. It's not just the windows, not just the thermal insulation. But we're looking at the entire package. How does the house sit on the property? Which way does it face? Where are your windows at? And windows, even the best windows, even if we brought in the highest European windows that we can find, there's still a source of energy loss. So people want windows. I want people to have windows. They're beautiful, and we want to be able to see the Texas Hill Country. But we need to plan our structures in such a way that it's making the most of the energy we have available.
And speaking of that, we're at the Bevy Hotel, and I'm looking out at these beautiful oak trees and these huge windows they have here. So I understand that, and it's a science, right? And what about people who have cedar allergies? Can you help that?
There's a kind of a myth that's been perpetuated for a while about, you got to let your house breathe. And that's just not true. Your house doesn't need to breathe, but people do. So if we can control the air within the home, then we can provide much cleaner air, which is going to be much more healthy for the occupants. So once that house is so tight, we do have to bring in fresh air, but guess what? That fresh air is conditioned and filtered. It's not just passively slipping in through the cracks,
Right.
bringing in all the dust and pollen.
It's so important for Travis White Builders, who's intentional from the very beginning, from the very first conversation you have with your clients. You're talking about this type of air quality inside the home.
Mm-hmm.
So we have about a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the Boerne Radio listeners?
It's a wonderful area to live in, and if you don't already live here and know that, it's I feel very blessed to have been able to grow up here and to be able to work here.
Anybody out there who'd like to visit you, the best way is to go to Travis S. White. And what does that stand for?
No, it's Scott. Travis Scott.
Okay, I just want to make sure people got that right.
Sure.
Travis S. White for TravisScottWhite.com. TravisSWhite.com. Well, thank you, Travis White, for Custom Builders, for being here today. And for more information, go to BoerneRadio.com, press the program tab, and you can find all of our guest podcasts, and you can find all of our sponsors there at BoerneRadio.com. I am James Duerr, realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Hill Country Properties, and this is Boerne Radio.